Hello, my name is Gilbert, MarkTech Investments. Today I'm here to talk about the best way to start a construction project with any budget. Now, when you're dealing with construction, like anything that we do in life, we need to plan for it. And for construction, we have specific steps in which we're doing our planning. A construction project basically starts from design, then you move into the actual construction, then at the end of the process, the client takes the project, the home. You own your property, you take the property. So as you're starting a construction project, first of all, of course, you need the property, which that is obvious. As when you buy the property, the best way to handle your budget is to start by hiring professionals, which professionals include architects, quantity surveyors. You need then a contractor. Those are the three main professionals you need when you're doing any construction project. So basically, we know that in construction, the highest cost of a construction project is material costs. Material costs take about 70% of any construction project. So if you're starting a construction project, whatever your budget is, it does not go beyond or below the cost of the materials. So that is something that is constant. Any client can go into the market and be able to see what the cost of materials are, then determine what their budget for that construction project is. So where the professionals come in, because the client has a dream of how they want, say, their house to be. So the architect's job is to design that dream for the client, but at the same time, the architect should have what we call design support. Design support is basically information about the project that can help the client in his planning purposes. For example, if I can say, if you want to build a 4-bedroom house, an architect can tell you a 4-bedroom house has around 200 square meters. Approximately, for example, a 200 square meter house, which is a bungalow, would probably cost you 150 million. So that is design support. So the architect is trying to plant the seed into the client's mind. So if the client says, 150 million is a bit steep for me. So the architect now starts to work around that. How does it do that? One is in determining the specifications for the project. The architect can say, okay, we are still going to maintain 4 bedrooms, but how do we reduce the cost? Now he starts looking at this number of rooms, the number of walls that you're building, the type of roof, the type of foundation. So all those things that he's doing are what we call creating specifications that help to lower the cost of the project for the client. At the same time, the architect can make suggestions on materials. Which material can we use instead of this and that? So what he's trying to do is he's trying to help the client bring down the cost of that project to what the client has as his budget. So when we talk about budgets, we are talking about two types of clients. There's a client who says, I have this amount of money, I want to build this. Then there's a client who says, I want to build, but I want to stay within my, I don't want to go beyond what I want to spend on this project. Then we have another client who says, I want to build slowly. I want to start slowly. If I can get the foundation done, it basically building over time. So those clients all are handled differently. So let's start with the first client who says, I want to reduce, I have this amount of money, fit my budget, fit my project within this amount. The first thing the architect says, as I told you, specifications. It tells you, instead of using, say, constructing a slab of 200 cubic millimeters, that's a thickness of the slab, let's make it 150. It still works. So that's the architect trying to help the client. The structural engineer can say, instead of putting 10 columns, let's do 5 columns, still maintaining the same structural integrity of the project. That's also bringing down the cost. The architect can specify, instead of using 10 millimeter glass, let's use 5 millimeter. As long as it's within what the client still terms as a good enough project, the professionals are helping. So as you're seeing, the first element of doing any project using any budget is basically hiring the professionals. Then the next part, as I said, is the specifications. What are the specifications for the project? those are the things I was describing. The architect is telling you, let's change this, let's use these materials here, let's reduce the number of walls here. That is helping to lower the cost. Then the material cost, as I told you, the material cost is, instead of using tiles that are made from India, let's use tiles that are made from a particular type or particular part of the country. The prices vary. So he's trying to lower the cost. So at the end of the day, there is a limit in which the architect can lower to what the client is calling as his budget. So once that is achieved, now we move on to the second type of client, the one who says, I'm able to get this money, but over a given period of time. So that client, you get a quantity surveyor. A quantity surveyor is able to price for your project from the start to the finish before even you lay your first brick. So the quantity surveyor can be able to split this project into what we call phases. The first phase will tell you foundation, next phase probably is superstructure, the next phase is roofing. So as it's splitting those, it's giving you a cost based on those particular phases. So once he breaks down those for you, then he can tell you, okay, if you have 10 million and the foundation is costing 30, find the 20 so that when we do the foundation, we are done when you have the 30 million. After the foundation, we shall move on to this phase. It is the contractor now to help tell you that we have to move this phase from here to here so that you are comfortable, we are comfortable that the structure will still stand as we wait for you to get more money. So if they advise you that roofing should be started from start to finish and it's 30 million, it's always now on the client to be able to have that 30 million, and then the contractor's job is to help achieve that so that the client can be settled and know that if I move on to the next phase or if I move on to the next stage of looking for money, I'm able to achieve that phase through that money. But it all comes back from the QS who has helped you, first of all, give you the total cost of all the project, but has also helped you to break down the project into individual sections. So at the end of the day, all these are tuned around the ability to have professionals, because one, you're covered in terms of how do I describe it? You're covered in terms of leverage, because professionals come with their costs, yes, but at the same time they cover in case anything goes wrong. If a QS has what you call professional liability. If a QS says this is the cost, and you've agreed with him and you've signed the contract with him and that is what he has justified, then the client's job is just to provide the resources. Then the QS takes over from there. Then the contractor takes over from there. So it becomes easy because the client knows that the liability is of him and it's on the contractor. It's not the same situation where you would hire, say, a mason to help you do work, because once their requirements are wrong, their material requirements are wrong, then it comes back to you, the client. So you end up overshooting in your budget. So as I described it, the three types of clients. The first one has the money, but he wants to stay within his budget. There is the other one who has the money, but over time. So each of them have to be managed differently. So that's how, in my opinion, you can be able to handle building any project with any amount of money that you have. Because the initial part, the most important part of all of it is coming up with a professional team. This professional team help you, first of all, either lower your cost or help you stay within the budget. Because as I said, the biggest percentage of a construction project cost is the materials. The same way you would go to a shop to buy a shirt and they tell you you cannot buy a shirt below $2, or in Uganda, say 30,000. It's the same way you go to buy materials and you cannot buy cement below 35,000. So if you know you're going to spend 20 bags of cement on a certain part, that means the cost of your project cannot go below 600,000. That is the 30 bags of cement the 20 bags of cement by the 30,000. So that is the initial part. That we cannot, as professionals, there is no way I can lie to you that a construction project is going to cost less, yet we know the material costs which are out there on the market for the client to be able to tell. So that's the first part. As a client is coming with their money, do they know what the material costs are in the field? If you know what the material costs are, then you know what your project is going to cost. Because I told you 70% of a construction cost is basically the materials. The rest of the percentages, those are professional fees, labor, and all that. So as long as you know that whatever money you're bringing forth at least covers the 70% of the materials, then now it's the duty of the professionals to help you refine that the final construction cost, so that a person, whatever budget you have, you're able to start a construction project. As MarkTech, we have, as a construction company, we have all the professionals that you would need. We have the architects, we have the quantity surveyors, we have the civil engineers, we have the subcontractors that deal with electricals and plumbing. So we are best positioned to be able to give you all the guidance that you need, as well as take you from start to finish. Our contacts are below in case you need any information.